My first job on leaving school was to work in the drawing office of Hawthorne Leslie's, who built the engines for large ships. Hawthorne Leslie's was based at the bottom of St. Peter's. It was a long street, a shabby street of 30 Tyneside flats on one side, a cobbled road and an embankment and a large wall bordering along allotments on the other side, so it was a very wide street. At the bottom you went through a gate and you were onto the station of St. Peter's Station. It was a commuter type rail line where men and women were taken from Byker down to Willington Quay and dropped off for the place of work to many different factories and shipyards. One night as I was going home in June 1961, I was going home with a group of friends from the drone office, and there were some painters painting the station as we came up from the subway onto the platform. I asked one of the men what they were doing, and these friends of mine were always pulling my legs, being the youngest. And they said, "Oh, didn't you not know the Queen Mother's coming here?" Well, I thought, no way would the Queen Mother come to this shabby place, and I just ignored them. A few days later, I was hurrying back to work. I was late and I knew I would get into trouble. It was a lovely sunny day, and as I turned down the street, suddenly I saw a great shiny black car coming up the road, up the cobbles. And I think it was a Daimler, because I've read afterwards that the Queen Mother always preferred to ride in a Daimler car. I stood transfixed, a solitary figure on this wide grass verge, no one about. A few ladies stood at the door in their pinnies, just looking out. There was no noise, there was no men, there was no children, and slowly the car came up and it passed me. I was about 4 feet away from it, and there sitting serenely and smiling straight at me was the Queen Mother. And then she gave me a royal wave. I looked and I just didn't know what to do. I was gobsmacked, as they say. And I feebly raised my hand in a half-hearted wave and just stood there standing like an idiot. Apparently she had broken her foot and was coming to launch the SS Northern Star at Vickers Armstrong's, and she was in a wheelchair, and that's why she'd had to come via the station. She eventually went to Vickers Armstrong, where they had arranged a bottle of champagne fixed so she could push it upwards towards the ship to launch it. The ship wasn't very lucky. It left the Tyne that night and a strong wind caught it and it nearly smashed into South Shields Pier. The tugs were able to steady her, but she was humiliated as she left the Tyne stern first. And about 13 years later, she was sent to be demolished in Taiwan, and similar to the shipyards which died round about the same time.